Okay, so yesterday, some big movements in the stock markets. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. So Wall Street stumbled Monday, extending last week's sell-off as investors resumed agitating about inflation and the pace of interest rate increases ahead of the Federal Reserve's annual economic symposium. They say the Dow sinks more than 600 points as investors fret over Fed's next move. I do love the way, I guess this is what is going on, but I do love the way these analysts assign, like, this is the reason why the market is doing whatever it is. This morning, we're recording this early and the markets aren't open yet, but futures were up. So it's like, okay, well, I guess now they're comfortable with whatever Jerome Powell is going to say. Anyway, Dow Jones Industrial Average finished the day down 643 points or 1.9%. S&P 500 shed 2.1% to close just shy of 4,138. The NASDAQ, tech heavy, of course, erased 2.5%. So pretty dramatic losses. Worst day in the market since I think they said June. And what they do point to is all the Federal Reserve people are meeting in Jackson Hole. They do this every year. This isn't like one of their committee meetings where they decide what the interest rates are going to be and what movements they're going to make. But this is where investors watch very closely what comments are made, because they can set the direction give some indications, some tea leaves of where things are ultimately going to come. So they say the gathering is set for Monday's market jitters come as Fed officials are preparing to gather in Jackson Hole for their annual economic symposium. Investors are keenly interested in what Jerome Powell might have to say about inflation on Friday and any sign the central bank might change its course in its efforts to combat it. Let's put this next piece up on the screen. The Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole meeting could shake up markets in the week ahead. So this is really what they're looking at. And I did some digging into some of the specifics about the Jackson Hole meeting. Only about 120 people attend the event every year, but the papers and speeches which are released, which are made public, as well as media engagements by policymakers, have made the Kansas City Fed's Economic Policy Symposium a landmark event for Fed watchers and investors tuned in from afar. And we did have some indications that maybe inflation was possibly easing up. Certainly gas prices have come down, which has been significant, although prices are still way, way too high. So there's an open question of whether the Fed is just going to continue marching forward with a very aggressive policy of rate increases, which could trigger a recession and is certainly going to create a lot of pain for you, or whether they might say, you know what, let's hang back and see what's going on here, which of course is the outcome that I'd like to see.
That's the major question. Nobody really knows. The real issue too is the global climate, which is not good. Even, what we're dealing with here in the US, power prices in Europe continue every day when you wake up, it's up by like 6 or 7%. It's actually difficult to comprehend. So we not only have to balance our own inflation and what our monetary policy is, but also consider that I think the euro yesterday reached 0.97 in terms of parity to the dollar. So below a 1-to-1. That hasn't happened in a long time. Maybe even in the history of the entire euro. Unprecedented in terms of the European economy. Haven't done as much recently. Maybe we should return to the gas markets and all that, because even though petroleum is down, natural gas continues to go absolutely wild. And there's a lot of problems just in general market-wise, because outside of the Fed, this is not only what they point to, but China, we've seen a slowdown there. Energy, Shanghai today, they said, skyscrapers, you have to turn your lights off for 2 whole days because we don't have enough power. That's crazy. This is supposed to be the next Silicon Valley, tech center of all of China. There's 30 million people who live in the city. That's happening. There's been real estate bubbles and issues. So market demand and plus COVID zero, Europe. We've got a general recessionary feeling amongst the American public, consumer spending going down, even though the gas prices have gone down a little bit, down to I think 385 yesterday is the national average. On top of that, the Fed too, though, this is always the issue with their policy. They can't do anything about the current inflation. The current inflation has almost nothing to do with any of that. All they can continue to do is continue to hammer global demand down by trying to induce more unemployment and more of a recession. And I guess it's working. Consumer spending is going down. Credit card debt, I think you said 20-year high.
Yes.
I want to say that we're at a 20-year high of new credit card debt amassed in just the last 6 months. So the last thing people need is some sort of recession. So we could both crash the market and you could crash consumer demand. I don't even know how you climb out of a hole like that. It takes a long time.
That's exactly right. So it'll be important to see what they say at this meeting. I think that's why there's a little bit of drama and suspense, because I mean, the Fed, you really cannot overstate how significant what the Fed does is for the economy, is for the housing market, is for the stock market. And as we always say, you may not have benefited on the way up, but you will get hurt on the way down. So continue to watch that.
Yeah.
Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.